Is the end coming for short-term rentals in BC? Well, BC's premier just announced a new legislation which states that could be the case and it could be coming earlier than you think. So let's dive into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, BrettBRealEstate. I, of course, am Brett Beholi, your Okanagan real estate professional. And like I said at the top of the video, we were just bulldozed by some game-changing news that's set to transform the housing landscape here in BC. Now, if you've been following the rise of short-term rentals in our province, you know that it's been a hot topic. And the BC government has been paying close attention and is now unveiling some bold plans that are set to tackle this problem head-on. So first, let's break down some stats. Currently, there are 28,000 daily active short-term rental listings in BC alone, which is a whopping 20% increase from the previous year. That's created a whole lot of turnover in our housing market, and it's been driving up prices and reducing long-term housing availability. In BC, over 30 municipalities have implemented bylaws and licensing fees in order to regulate short-term rentals. These bylaws vary in their restrictions, with many requiring a principal residence for hosts. However, some municipalities lack the necessary tools and data to enforce these regulations effectively. In Vancouver, more than 30% of the hosts operate illegally, and in Victoria, around 1,600 hosts utilize the legal non-conforming clause, exempting certain buildings from city bylaws. Additionally, 42% of short-term rental licenses in Victoria are held by out-of-town operators. And Kelowna has seen an 89% increase in short-term rental accommodations with valid licenses since 2020, but data suggests there may be more unregistered properties. In the district of Squamish, short-term rental units surged by 38% from 2021 to 2022, with less than half of them adhering to the regulations. Based on a sample size of 15 municipalities, the province suggested around 40 to 50% of these short-term rental listings are non-compliant here in 2023. Globally, short-term rentals are increasingly perceived as contributing to the housing issues we are facing today. Many jurisdictions worldwide are responding by regulating, restricting, or even banning short-term rentals, especially those that could otherwise be used for long-term housing. BC's Premier David Eby spoke up this week to state that anyone who's looking for an affordable place to live knows how hard it is, and short-term rentals are making it even more challenging. The number of short-term rentals in BC has ballooned in recent years, removing thousands of long-term homes from the market. That's why we're taking strong action to rein in profit-driven mini hotel operators, create new enforcement tools, and return homes to the people who need them. Provincial government has now swooped in to enforce this new comprehensive plan. Their core focus? Transforming these short-term rentals into long-term housing for all. And here's how they're doing it. First off, they're hitting hard with increased fines and stronger tools for local governments. Fine for rule breaker operators are jumping from $1,000 to $3,000 per day, and short-term rental platforms must now share data to ensure enforcement and proper tax auditing. No more slipping through the cracks. This is going to hit hard for those operating under the radar without a proper business license. But it doesn't stop here. This legislation ensures that short-term rentals are allowed only in principal residence of hosts in municipalities with over 10,000 people or more, but there are some exemptions made for secondary suites and laneway homes, striking a balance between regulation and flexibility. Now here's the interesting part, the timeline. Let's take a look at the rollout. The proposed legislation for short-term rentals in BC is to be rolled out in 4 phases. Phase 1 occurs immediately after legislation approval, and there will be increased fines for violations from $1,000 to $3,000 per infraction per day. They're going to allow regional districts to set fines for bylaw offenses up to $50,000, and they're going to grant regional districts the authority to create business licenses for short-term rentals. Phase 2, which could begin as early as May 1st, 2024, they will enforce the principal resident requirement, allowing short-term rentals only in the host principal residence in communities with a population of over 10,000, and remove legal non-conforming use protections for short-term rentals. Phase 3, which is set to hit in the summer of 2024, is going to mandate short-term rental platforms to display business license numbers on listings. Platforms must share certain listing information with the province for enforcement purposes, and prompt removal of listings without proper licenses to ensure compliance with local rules. And lastly, Phase 4, which is to occur in late 2024, aims to establish a provincial registry for all short-term rental properties and mandatory registration for short-term rental hosts and platforms with the province, ensuring oversight and adherence to regulations. As stated earlier, the BC government is showing some flexibility in regards to unique communities. Places with populations of over 10,000 people will have to adhere to this rule, but there are exemptions and options for smaller communities, resorts, and regional districts based on their housing needs. And to me, places like Big White definitely come to mind, where a huge part of their infrastructure is based off short-term rentals, especially during the ski season. Now, I do believe Big White will be one of the places that are exempt from this legislation, but I don't have any firm indication on this just yet. So there you have it. That's a brief overview of this legislation. I want to know, where do you guys stand on it? I'd like to hear your comments down below. And for me, I have mixed feelings about it. On one hand, I would love some more long-term housing options for Canadian citizens and members of our community. But on the other hand, I do believe that if you own a property, you adhere to the bylaws and regulations, you're not affecting anybody's reasonable use or enjoyment of their own property, and you should be allowed to do what you want with your own property. I especially feel for those people who are currently going through a transaction, have purchased a property specifically for the use of a short-term rental that's currently allowed it, and the people who have already closed on a deal for a pre-construction build that's supposed to allow short-term rental, and that's going to be the sole purpose of this owner's use. Now, I'm not sure what's going to happen to these people, but I think it is a little crazy if they're not going to be grandfathered in. I definitely understand this more for single-family residential, but for some of these very few condo complexes, especially in our area that allow for short-term rentals and that operate inside the rules, I feel that they should be allowed to use them for their original intended use by the owner. But that's just my current opinion. I'm not hard and fast on any of this. I'd like to see how this legislation is actually properly rolled out and see what's going to happen to some of these unique circumstances of people who bought a property for the intended use of short-term rentals. But again, I'd love to get your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you believe that this initiative to turn short-term rentals into long-term housing will create stability and affordability in our housing market, or is this an overreach by our BC government? Let me know your thoughts, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. All my contact information is listed down in the description below, and if you or anybody you know is looking to buy or sell real estate in the central Okanagan, I'd be more than happy to help you out, and I'm never too busy for your referrals. My goal, as always, is to simplify the real estate process so you don't have to worry about a thing. My name is BrettBRealEstate. This is my channel, BrettBRealEstate, and I will catch you in the next video.